the reason why I wanted to make this podcast and the reason why I feel it's necessary to make these types of podcasts is because femininity is something that should be embraced within society, and unfortunately, it isn't. And with that being said, I feel like it's being neglected to the point where people in what people women view it as weak. Men never view this as weak, by the way. And I feel like women should a lot of women should take that type of paradigm that men have, right? I've never even talked to a man who's talked about femininity in a negative light. And I feel like any people that talk about femininity in a negative light, they're typically women. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So with that being said, why do you think society or females right now have such a weak view of femininity?
I think it has to do more with the submission part of it.
Submission part, okay. So what about it? What about that specifically?
I feel like it has to do with the toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculine, okay, what do
Men
you mean?
are using that to be controlling and saying it's them being masculine. So when a woman sees another woman that's feminine, they probably think that that's them saying that they're okay with being controlled by a man.
Interesting, interesting. And one thing I want to mention as well, which is super super prevalent within society, is I do believe that after you have a few men that are truly not of good quality, women are automatically put in the defensive mode. And like you had mentioned, right? They need to be comfortable to truly be in that feminine energy. And with that being said, I feel like those same type of women have a very very hard time differentiating between an actual good leader and a controlling man, right? Those are obviously huge differences. But what do you think are some of the differences and subtle signs that can kind of signal whether a man is of high quality, or is a good leader, or as opposed to being a man who's controlling?
I think an actual masculine man, you'll be able to notice because he'll be more gentle and like
Interesting. Okay.
patient with you.
Okay.
That's really all I got right now.
Okay. Okay. So more gentle and more patient. What would be some subtle signs that a man is potentially controlling? Because like I said, women, they conflate those two things. That's why I wanted to mention it, because I've seen a lot of women where, let's just say there is a good man that comes to them, they fumble the good man because they truly have this perception that all men are trying to control them. So what would be some subtle signs of a man that is controlling, that would be maybe a red flag for a woman that's trying to find a man that's a good leader?
Maybe if whenever you express yourself to him, he'll probably say, "Oh, that's you arguing." Um,
Okay.
I don't have experience with men. I really have no idea what it's like to have a controlling man.
Well, that's very good. That's very good. Unfortunately, that's not a common thing nowadays. But I'm glad that you've had only positive experiences with men.
I wouldn't say that, but
Okay. Well. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. I got a comment. Some women confuse their confidence for not needing a man and or not wanting to seem weak if they are kind. Okay. So yeah. So there's going to be a clear difference between a woman being confident within herself, um, and truly not needing a man, right? I feel like that's something that I think women need to truly evaluate as well, is because there is a clear difference. Yeah, you don't need to. Your confidence doesn't need to stem from the fact that you don't need a man, right? And I feel like even this notion of even saying that, like I said, it's just one of the goofiest things that I've ever experienced in my whole life. Like, because the question that I've always asked myself, and I don't know if you've asked yourself this question, is how do you truly have the most fulfillment in your life, right? And that is a question I've always asked myself, and a question that I will continue to ask myself for the rest of my life. And with that being said, when I hear anybody, whether it's a man or a woman, that is neglecting things that truly would give them the fulfillment that they truly should want in life, I automatically have 1,000 questions based off of that. And yeah, the perfect example of that is a woman saying, "I don't need a man." What do you say to those women that say, "I don't need a man"?
again, it has to do with past experiences. They're just let down too much, and so they'd rather not have to put themselves in that position again to be let down.
Okay. So do you think it's best to be? Do you think it's best to completely feel something, or do you think it's best to be defensive? Be defensive straight out the gate. Obviously, like you had mentioned, right? You don't have that much experience, but with that being said, to the women that have had those negative experiences, would you say, obviously you would say probably, make sure you vet for a good man. But with that being said, to avoid pain, do you think they should have that wall up?
No.
Interesting. Why is that?
I feel like you still have to be open if you're going to get into a new thing with a new man. Because if you're defensive right off the start, then you're, one, putting that negative energy out there, and you're kind of self-sabotaging it in a way.
Okay, okay. So okay. So that's a good point right there. So automatically, oh my god, automatically you'd be self-sabotaging. That's crazy. Yeah, that is what it is though. Yeah, and I see a lot of women do that. I see a lot of women do that. Like I said, if you have a good quality man and you're automatically on the defensive, it's gonna completely turn him off. And the reason, the way that I can speak about that is because of my own past dating experiences. I would say I know how to handle myself within an interaction with a woman. And with that being said, the fact that I've even came across women who had that defensive wall up, I'm like, wow, like I'm immediately turned off instantly, because it's just something that's not particularly ideal to the interaction, especially the start of an interaction. You're already starting off on the wrong foot, in my opinion. Men can come off as controlling when they limit your finances, friends, phone, etc. Those need to be respected, of course. And I feel like it's very, very blurry, grayish type of, I would say, area. I would say with that because that's why I say it's kind of hard to differentiate between a man that is controlling and a man that truly has good intentions for you. Um, So, like for example, I'll give you one example that I've had within my past dating experiences that somebody had viewed as controlling. Right? I told the woman, hey, um, I'm not a huge fan of you dressing the way that you do. You're gonna get a lot of unneeded and unwanted attention, and I don't think that's really conducive to you being the person that you want to be and people viewing you as the person that you want them to view you as. And she had a very, very negative reaction. She thought I was being controlling because I said, hey, you probably shouldn't wear that because people will look at you like you're a piece of meat. What do you think about that?
This is a genuine question. Does she really think it's controlling, or does she say it's controlling because other people say it's controlling?
That's a good question. That is a good question. And I would say the second. I would say the second for damn sure because it's so common. You see it so often, and unfortunately, you see more women talking negative about men than you do positive. And you could technically say the same for men. I would say I do see more men talking negative about women than positive. And this is specifically why I wanted to make a podcast like this because there's so much positives to women that I feel like a lot of men are not expressing as much as they should. They're not giving them the reinforcement um, that women truly need. Because if you see more men talking about women in a positive light, I think more women would inversely talk about men in a positive light. So what do you think about that? Do you think that would be true?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's all you got. Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Okay, fair enough. All right, I'm gonna ask you one more question. This is a very, very good question. Something that I've spent a lot of time thinking about, and here's the question right here. Do you think there's enough feminine women in positions of influence?
No.
Why is that?
I'm sure there are some women who are, but
Okay.
I feel like most of them are encouraging women to be more independent. So, encouraging them to pursue good careers so that they wouldn't have to rely on a man.
Okay, for sure, for sure. And you wouldn't think that's not a great like long-term strategy, would you say?
No, because women need men and men need women.
Canceled just for that. Canceled just for that. That's crazy. That's crazy. And yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you for sure, right? I definitely don't think that there's enough positive women, or not positive women. There's enough women who are truly feminine in a position of influence, and I feel like even the notion you'll see this like I see this time and time again with women. They're like, oh yeah, I look up to strong women, and then you ask them, hey, what is a strong woman? And they start naming characteristics of a man. And hey, that's what it is. Like I said, do you disagree with that?
No.
Okay, fair enough. All right. But yeah, I would say, yeah, unfortunately, there's just going to be super career-oriented women within positions of influence right now, So maybe, like I said, if I could even like name some, maybe like the Kim K's of the world. I don't know. Do you know any like women that have a high influence that truly do not do it in a feminine way? Is there any that can come to your mind that are that some women view as a good influence?
None are coming to the top of my head.
Exactly my point. That's why it's a problem, fellas. That's why it's a problem. And yeah, like I said, I truly do not see enough. And hopefully, this is something that I wish for, and this is something that I've seen, and I'm sure everybody watching this has seen as of recently. You're seeing a lot more men speak positively about men, and I hope very very soon you're gonna see the same type of movement for women. I don't know who's going to be the leader of that, but what I will say though is if there's a person that's even remotely close um, to the level of positive influence that men have and role models that men have, women will be in a good position. But I think if we keep going and the biggest role models for women are masculine women, society is really not going to be in a good position at all. I would say that for sure. Do you disagree with that? Do you agree with that? What do you think about that?
Definitely agree with that.
Definitely agree with that.